Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Margaret Lowe. I'm president of AtlanticLIVE, the live events division of the Atlantic magazine, and it is wonderful to see such a full house this morning. I'm delighted to welcome you to the second edition of Pulse. So you may ask the question, why did we choose Boston for this annual healthcare summit? And for everybody in this room, the answer may be complete command of the obvious, but it probably bears repeating. This city is arguably the epicenter of modern medicine and science. It's home to world-class universities, research centers, biotech companies, and hospitals, and if you'll forgive this slight diversion, the Red Sox. I was lucky enough to get to town early. I was at Fenway Park for yesterday's game, and I don't know if any of you saw it, but it was a stunning turnaround in the 8th inning when the Red Sox came back with scoring 6 runs. Anyway, and I was actually desperately afraid that if I was in Fenway Park that they would lose. So I was very, very relieved to be in the ballpark and to see them continue their winning streak. So onward tomorrow to the Yankees. And if you can't tell, I'm actually a hometown girl. And the Atlantic magazine was born here too in 1857. The Atlantic moved to Washington a little over a decade ago, but I think it's fair to say that in many ways our roots are here, and we all feel a really deep connection to the intellectual capital in this city and the work that you're all doing. A lot has unfolded on the healthcare front since we were here a year ago, including big mergers like CVS and Aetna. Berkshire Hathaway, Amazon, and JP Morgan Chase announced in the last year that they're joining forces to rein in healthcare costs for their employees. And as everybody here knows, America spends far more on healthcare than any other developed country in the world. And we also know that that spending hasn't translated into better outcomes. And many Americans say they're actually more afraid of the cost of what care will require than the disease themselves. We'll talk about that, about the relentless march of the opioid crisis, about the changing face of hospitals, and we even get to talk about wearables today. Our purpose is to amplify important conversations, and I hope to shed new light on some of the biggest issues confronting healthcare. Our founders at the Atlantic believed that the free exchange of ideas across ideological lines was crucial to this great American experiment, and these notions are still at the core of what we do in the magazine and also what we will do here on stage today. This gathering is intended to be just such an exchange. Before we get rolling, a few less lofty notes that would have made absolutely no sense to our founders. Please silence your cell phones. But don't put them away, because we are on Twitter at AtlanticLIVE. That's all one word, and we would love you to join the conversation using the hashtag AtlanticPulse. Again, one word, and it's all right there on the podium if you forget. We're going to also have time for questions throughout the day. Also, before we begin, I want to make an important thank you, and that is to our underwriters, Bayer and Bristol-Myers Squibb, for making today possible. We simply could not be here without you, so thank you so much to them. A huge thank you to our collaborators at STAT, the site that reports from the frontiers of health and medicine. They bring enormous sophistication and insight to the issues we're going to talk about here today. We have a very, very full day ahead of us. Rest assured, the coffee will be free-flowing. If you need to get up and grab a cup along the way, don't hesitate to do so. We'll have stretch breaks. We'll also have a great lunch to help fuel you throughout the day. So let's begin with a conversation about the state of care in America. And for that, I'm so pleased to welcome Andy Slavitt. He is the board chair of the United States of Care, a brand new nonprofit with a big ambition: affordable health care for all Americans. And Slavitt was the acting administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, and he is joined by my colleague, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg.